I'm back. Rudrance for Black and White Network. Well, you know it's bad. You know a place is bad. You know a place could be what some people would refer to as a living hell. When a good weekend, only 22 people get shot. That's right. 22 people get hurt, and an 8-year-old is amongst them, and only one person died. And I promise you, some socialist Democrat, probably Brandon Johnson, will actually go out there and brag about crime dropping in an area, when that would be considered, by a lot of standards, a mass shooting, possibly in a different area. And then, of course, the Democrats would come out and blame the guns and not the criminals that do it, or the nutcases. But they only had, God, that sounds weird coming out of my mouth. They only had 22 people hurt this weekend. Sadly, an 8-year-old was amongst them. Only one dead. Oh, my goodness. I mean, look, guys, that's not cause for celebration. I mean, again, every week we do this. Every week we could go over the myriad of reasons why this is happening. Look, first and foremost, so many of the residents are voting for this, and I don't get it. You're literally saying we condone our fellow citizens getting shot. We condone the safety of migrants being paramount above our own safety, even though we're taxpayers. We condone our mayor passing the buck to blame automakers for car thefts going up. And yeah, we got some more on that too, because he got destroyed by a fellow Chicagoan up there for the fact that Brandon Johnson suing Kia and he's suing Hyundai. We'll get to that. Let's, of course, go over the nightmare that was, by the way, that injured 2 women at a White Sox game in the damn stadium the night of what was supposed to be a Vanilla Ice concert. I mean, who the hell isn't cheery during knowing there's an upcoming Rob Bass and Vanilla Ice concert? Evidently, criminals from Chicago attending ball games. Was it gang member night at White Sox Stadium? Just wondering. Question mark? Anybody? Can they answer me? At least one person killed and 22 others, including an 8-year-old boy, were hurt in the weekend shootings across Chicago so far this weekend. The ages range from 8 to 59. Okay, so we're not always, and we see this every week, but we're by no stretch talking about, you've got collateral victims. And that's really the problem. I mean, these hoodlum thug gangbangers, bleep them. I mean, mother bleep them. Yeah, let them, they're going to shoot each other until they get Democratic leadership out of there. They're going to open fire on each other. The problem is the collateral damage in all this. The 8-year-old boys, the 42-year-old women, some 60-year-old man gets blasted. That's the damn shame of it. No matter what, innocent victims, people that are trying to do right in life, are getting killed up there. That's the problem. In the first shooting of the weekend, a 42-year-old woman and 8-year-old boy were struck by gunfire in the 4100 block of West Adams Street just after 8 p.m. Friday. Police responded to the scene where they found a woman that was glazed wound to the ankle and a boy with a glazed wound to the leg. Both were taken to Stroger Hospital in good condition. Later that evening, officers responded to a person shot 4100 block of South Richmond Street, found a 20-year-old woman. Gunshot wound to the thigh. And it just goes on and on. Investigation is underway after 2 women were shot during a White Sox game at Guaranteed Field. 42-year-old woman was shot in the leg. There's pictures of blood underneath bleachers out there. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. A 14-year-old boy is recovering after he was shot while riding in a car Sunday. Police, just after 5 p.m., someone in another car pulled up at 38th and Spalding and fired shots at the teen in the passenger seat. He was taken to a hospital in good condition. And it just goes down on and on down the list here. You know, here we are. 7:26 p.m. Sunday in the 1900 block of East 76th Street, a 15-year-old boy was shot in a park when he was shot in the foot. He was transported to Comer Children's Hospital in good condition. I mean, that's just... Guys, this is pathetic. It's pathetic when 22 people is considered a win. I mean, it's absolutely pathetic. It's crazy. That's not a win. 22 people is not a win. I have literally seen it in the comment sections on the random weeks that they have less than, say, 25 shootings. You will have people come through these videos and say, well, that's a pretty good weekend. That's a pretty good weekend? Is that how low the bar is set in Chicago, where 22 people getting blasted, grazed, shot, wounded, killed? That's considered okay? That's considered good? That's considered a check box? We're good for this weekend? God, no wonder the voting is awful up there. The choices of people that are put in the office is awful. If that is the mindset where 25, let's say 25 or less are shot in a particular weekend, that's considered a win for the city. That would be considered a disaster anywhere else. A disaster. A code damn red. I mean, do you understand how much crime is in New Orleans? Even in Oakland. And that would be considered a massive disaster for those two cities. Really. I mean, truly. It's crazy. Chicago mayor mocked for suing automakers for car thefts. Criminals run rampant, but it's Kia's problem. Yeah, I did this video the other day because Mayor Brandon Johnson has chose to file a lawsuit against Kia, against Hyundai, saying that it's their fault that their theft deterrent systems aren't as strong as they need to be, and it's their fault that people are getting their cars stolen in Chicago. It's not the fault of the leaders in Chicago. It's not the fault of the people that are prosecuting crimes in Chicago. It's not the fault of defunding and reimaging the police. It's not the criminals' fault. In other words, it's not the criminals' fault. It's the car manufacturer's fault. If that is not, and I said this the other day, this is the most socialist, Marxist bullshitting thing I may have ever heard. Truly, we need to have them share in the expense. No, you need to quit thinking like a radical progressive and man up your police force is what you need to do. Create a pro-police, anti-criminal city. That's what you need to do. You need to quit being ass-hurt by people calling hoods and thugs, freaking hoodlums, the mob. That you're worried and your priorities are built around things like wording when it comes to criminals. That just goes to show you right there that Mayor Brandon Johnson has got his head up his ass, just like Lori Lightfoot. Maybe worse than Lori Lightfoot, because I don't even know if she would have came out and said that after the disgusting behavior that happened at that convenience store that night. Even I believe it's possible, and I'm just saying possible here, folks, but it's possible that even Beetlejuice herself would have had more sense than to worry about the wording being discussed and bantered about her city after that much destruction was done, and to act like it was a couple of kids out there blowing off some steam. That's idiocy that is dangerous. Truly. Idiocy that is dangerous. That is now, I think I'm going to write that down somewhere. Idiocy that is dangerous is what we can say about Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson now. Truly. In that city, the mayor's actions gets people blasted is what happens. You know, you reimage the police, that's on you, bud. That's on you, Bubba. It is. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is facing backlash after filing suit against Kia and Hyundai over claims that manufactured cars that lacked appropriate anti-theft measures, ultimately leading to a surge in car crimes. Democratic Alderman Raymond Lopez, think about this. This is a Democrat that is fixing to hammer Johnson as too socialist. I mean, think about that a minute. Democratic Alderman Raymond Lopez mocked Johnson over the lawsuit on Fox and Friends, calling the move a, quote, play from a socialist playbook. I told you, he just said it. Lopez just said it. Just what I said. A play straight out of the socialist playbook. A crime continues to ravage the streets in Windy City. Clearly, we don't have a crime problem. We have a Kia problem in the city of Chicago, according to Mayor Johnson. The numbers speak for themselves. A 104% increase from last year. A 234% increase in vehicle thefts from 2 years ago. But yet, it's the car's fault. Yeah, think about that a second, because the majority of those cars that are in that lawsuit, the majority of those cars are from this year's models and back. Okay? But yet they're up 104% from last year, which was already up a ridiculous amount. I mean, what a bogus way to buck your responsibilities as a mayor. Push this off to the side. Let's push this off on the car manufacturer. Oh, it's their fault. It's not the fault of the criminals. Let's give them a pass. They're good. They're just misunderstood. They're just out there trying to get a car and go joyriding to blow off some steam. Maybe stop by a convenience store. Obliterate the inside of it while we're running around. Wow. I mean, what the fuck? It's the fact that they are so easily taken by criminals who run rampant in the city of Chicago, but we have yet to hear our mayor say anything, one word, about the criminals running rampant in our streets. We've yet to hear one word from the mayor. And all he does, in turn, is lambast the media, lambast those who try to hold criminals accountable by playing word games. Again, see the fact that he's butthurt by the word mob. Tell me, Mayor, are you leading the mob? Question mark? Maybe you're the new Al Capone in Chicago. Is that why that bothers you so much? I'm just wondering. Johnson's office announced a lawsuit last week alleging that both companies failed to include the industry standard engine immobilizers in several models of vehicles, which resulted in a steep rise in crime. The lawsuit also claims that all automakers did not include the vital anti-theft technology in their U.S. cars between 2011 and 2022. Please see what I just said a minute ago about, oh, but you're blaming the car companies now. And it did so while misleading customers that the vehicles had advanced safety features. How come the crime wasn't even higher 2 years ago? I mean, we're talking models that it would have been 2011 through 2021 at that point. Question mark? Just wondering, Brandon Johnson. Inquiring minds want to know. And he goes on to talk about the impact of residents that are middle and lower class and their cars getting stolen. Yeah, you're right. That does have an impact on everyday low-income and middle-income folks, which you claim to care about, but your actions when it comes to criminals and protecting those low to middle-income families, your actions say otherwise. Your actions say you don't give a shit about those people in that lower to middle-income bracket. Dude, how about that? But Lopez argued the surge in car thefts is attributable to the city's liberal policies that favor criminals on the streets. as opposed to vehicle manufacturing. Bravo. That is absolutely the correct answer. Raymond Lopez, you win a prize. That's the correct answer. I mean, truly. Chicago's answer to the Kia problem was to hand out those steering wheel column locks. The club has a way of helping our citizens, not necessarily prosecuting those repeat offenders that know how to steal a car, sell a car, or use it in crimes. Bingo! Your prosecution is not hammering those people and keeping them locked up. Instead, you're running them out like a conveyor belt so they can run out and guess what? Steal another car, because who gives a shit? You're not going to prosecute them. Jeez. Lopez said, I had a friend just last week whose car was stolen. It was used in 12 different robberies on the north side of Chicago. They're stealing cars to go do more robbery. You notice here the root issue is crime in this entire video. Whether it is people pulling the trigger and some gangbanger taking a life, or even worse, collateral damage that's a life, or a criminal stealing a car to go out and do other kind of crime that probably isn't even stealing another car. It's breaking in houses. It's doing God knows what. We know why they're stealing cars. We know what they're doing with these cars. But the fact that we refuse to call out this behavior and we're giving cover to the criminals seems to just be another liberal ploy, he continued. And to be perfectly honest, a page from the socialist playbook, because they're blaming the manufacturer on the cars rather than the criminals on the streets. Absolutely. It's never their fault. It's never their fault. A spokesman for Hyundai said that the engine immobilizers are now standard on all cars made as of November 2021, and I'm not reading the rest of it. At a certain point, the nonsense is going to reach a tipping point, Lopez said. We've seen actions like this out of Lori Lightfoot. We're starting to see it out of Mayor Johnson, and we saw how that worked for her. Yeah, she was kicked to the curb only to bring in somebody that I could argue may be worse. Wow. I mean, it's crazy. It really is. And again, at the root core of all this is the criminals are getting off light with either a slap on the wrist or no slap at all. The root cause is the criminals and the lack of manpower to go out and bust those criminals, and the lack of willingness to prosecute criminals to the fullest extent of the law. You're too worried about blaming the circumstances around these people. That's why they're committing crimes. How about there are a lot of people that have a lot of evil running through their veins, and that evil has to be stopped. How about that? There are a lot of people out there that want shit for free, believe they deserve it when they do not, but they will still try to take it. That is what your law enforcement is there to stop. But you got to give them the funds and the tools to do it. You can't be on the criminal side, because then what happens? Your law enforcement gets fed up because they're doing their job and they're risking their life, and you're not following through on your end. So they quit and leave the city to go to a city that appreciates their law enforcement. You see how that works? Tell me what you think, Black and White Network supporters. It's just another weekend in Brandon Johnson, Chicago. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.